and uranium. It has far more potential than that. For the session, we were talking about the growing importance of Quad, and of course, education is going to play a very important role in this strategic partnership. I have just been reminded by the MC that our time is running out. I think we have under 3 minutes left to wrap up this discussion. So I'll take quick closing comments from the rest of the panel. Dilip Chinoy, let me come to you. I think Dr. Kora made a very interesting point earlier. Since you talked about the need for greater collaboration between academia and industry, he says we meet regularly at conferences and seminars and public events, but then rest of the year we don't really talk to each other. So how do we address that topic? There has got to be greater interface between the two on a more regular basis, especially now that we're in a post-COVID world. We know that millions have lost their jobs in the last 2 years, and there has been greater automation in these COVID times than ever before. You want to agree with that?
So just 2 quick points. First, just to inform the audience here, since we have the senator here, actually what NSDC did was we collaborated with the Sector Skill Council in Australia, and for 82 job roles, where in your immigration website there was a shortage of people, we harmonized the standards. And so if anybody came out with that certification in India, it was automatically equivalent to thing, but we didn't get into a formal agreement. And the agreement that we did yesterday with the UK might actually serve as a precedence for Australia to actually get that mutual recognition going. The second thing is with anybody, and this is an open challenge, if any industry says that they can't find people, just go to the Sector Skill Council. You don't have to spend money. I think Kirti's example is fascinating. They can guarantee you an employable person within the amount of time that it takes to train the person, right? Or you work with the Punjab Skills University, you say you have a shortage of people, they will deliver the people. My only thing to Mr. Kaura is try and not create a separate stream for Punjab, try and integrate with the national framework, try and work with the sector skill councils. If 5 states do that and the country does that, you will transform the skills landscape.
Thank you so much for keeping it short. We're almost out of time, but Kirti said as we wrap up this discussion, very quickly, we see in the countries like India and China sending more and more students abroad. Why do you think that is happening? Is that something that should concern us, or is that something that we should welcome? How do you look?
It's 2 sides of the coin. I think it's really important to know that it's a question of the type of jobs that are going, that are moving, and it's a constant discussion we have about talent mobility and what's our stand on it. I think where there is a shortage of job opportunities in India, we should definitely welcome people moving away and for opportunity which doesn't exist here. But where we have a shortage and where people are going abroad to study things that actually could be studied in India, we have to introspect a lot more. Because what's happening is we are skilling our people, we are funding their education, and then other countries are enjoying it. So that's really
brain.
Why aren't we able to keep them? So I'm really not a big fan of a blanket statement of talent mobility. In fact, I would ask the question to say, if you are so keen, Senator, if you are so keen to welcome Indian talent, I want to know what countries like you are doing in return for India. Because when we grow them, we train them, and then you enjoy the benefit, we need to get something back as well. So please think about that.
I totally understand your sentiment, but the senator might say, well, is that really my headache? Well, your people want to come to us and we welcome them. After all, some of the biggest multinational companies today have Indian origin CEOs who we're all very proud of. But at the same time, I think this brain drain is something that we need to address very, very quickly since we're completely out of time. Dr. Kora, Mr. Chinoy has a suggestion for you. You're doing great and splendid work in Punjab. How about spreading your wings, making sure that the fruits of what you're doing are enjoyed by people, by young people in the rest of the country as well?
First of all, I mentioned here, we are not creating anything separate. And we are part of the nation, and the only point is when we talk about our own requirement, Now, just an example, NSDC was focusing more on the GCC country. My youth is not want to go to GCC, they want to go to Australia or Canada. So we developed our model and yesterday we presented to MSDE. And now NSDC and Punjab government will work to design a model. Other than GCC, they will take our model, Punjab migration model, which will be helping. We are complementing, supplementing each other. And as we mentioned, and as I mentioned also, that our outward remittances have been very high. 300,000 students went out of Punjab, and now what we want from the country, like Canada or Australia, we are now tying up with them. We said we will not send such a outward remittances out of Punjab. We will curtail it, but we will welcome inward remittances. We need that one. We want to maintain that, but the amount going out of Punjab should be reduced first and then stop. We don't want much to go out of because we are already giving them a taste, right? So that's what we are trying to do it, and I think with the support of country like Canada is coming up. We have signed up with Alberta. is coming up. Australia, we are working very closely with Australian High Commission and German. We are trying to have a model, and what I think I would want to assure the Mr. Shinoy also and other delegates that the point here is we want to learn from others, and whatever we have done as a success story on the ground, we would like to share with us.
Absolutely.
And that is what we are.
And we don't want it to be a one-way street. We want it to be a two-way process, because at the end of the day, we're investing in a lot of this talent, and we want to be able to retain this talent. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us during this fascinating session. A big thank you to all the guests, the panelists. My apologies to you, Raja, for going over time. It's been fascinating to have all your inputs and perspectives, and we're hoping to get many more such inputs as the day progresses. Thank you so much.